NDA with big tech. Did Ohio communities secretly approve AI infrastructure?
Logging pod starts like a conversation. Cup of coffee with no destination. Just voices trying to understand what's happening across this land. From your stories told to the pages turned. Every question, every word, supported by SheShareStudios.net.
Hello, and welcome to the Vlogging Pod. Today, we're talking about something that, honestly, most people in Ohio probably didn't even realize was becoming a statewide fight until recently. A proposed constitutional amendment in Ohio that would effectively ban the construction of massive new data centers just cleared its first legal hurdle. And now the people behind it are racing against the clock to gather enough signatures to pull it before voters this November. So if you've listened to this podcast recently, then you already know we've been talking a lot about AI, water usage, electricity demand, data centers moving into Ohio communities, and the growing fear that residents are being left out of the decisions that could permanently reshape their towns. But this is the first time we're seeing a serious statewide attempt to directly stop the growth through the Ohio Constitution itself. According to Signal Ohio, the amendment would prohibit the construction of data centers that require more than 25 megawatts of electricity. And to put that in perspective, most modern large-scale AI data centers now commonly use anywhere from 50 to 500 megawatts or more. So this proposal would not just slow future expansion, it would effectively shut the door on most of the hyperscale projects that companies like Microsoft, Google, Meta, Amazon, and others are building across Ohio right now. The amendment was approved by the Ohio Ballot Board as a single subject proposal, which means the organizers are now legally allowed to begin collecting signatures statewide. But the difficult part starts now. The campaign needs 413,487 valid signatures by July 1st, and they must collect signatures from at least 44 Ohio counties to even qualify for the number ballot. And this is where things get interesting. This effort did not begin with a giant political organization. It reportedly started with residents in Adams and Brown counties near Cincinnati who were worried about proposed local data center projects changing the character of their rural communities. According to reporting, some residents say they became frustrated by non-disclosure agreements between local officials and tech companies, leaving people unable to get basic information about water use, infrastructure demands, and long-term impacts. Now, critics of the amendment are already calling it unrealistic. State Senator Bill DeMora reportedly said that even the Ohio Democratic Party would struggle to gather enough signatures in this short amount of time without spending millions of dollars on professional signature gatherers. He also pointed out that these projects create union construction jobs and major economic investments. But supporters argue that Ohio residents are finally waking up to the scale of what's happening. And honestly, whether someone supports this amendment or opposes it, one thing is becoming clear. The conversation around data centers has changed. A few years ago, these facilities were mostly discussed as harmless tech warehouses that brought economic growth. Now communities across Ohio and the country are asking much harder questions. Who pays for the new substations and transmission lines? How much water will these facilities consume during drought years? What utility bills rise? How much land will be transformed? How many permanent jobs are actually created compared to the size of the projects? And why are so many of these deals negotiated quietly before residents fully understand what's coming into their communities? Those questions are no longer staying inside environmental groups or activist circles. They are reaching regular homeowners, rural towns, suburban residents, even local officials who are beginning to realize these projects can fundamentally reshape infrastructure for decades. And Ohio is not alone. Across the country, there is growth backlash against massive AI driven data center expansion. Some towns have proposed moratoriums, others have delayed water permits. Residents in several states have challenge agreements involving power usage, tax incentives, environment impact. Ohio just happens to be one of the first places where residents are now trying to push that fight directly onto the statewide ballot. Whether this amendment actually succeeds is another question entirely. The campaign openly admits it is a largely volunteer driven, and history shows that getting constitutional amendments onto the ballot in Ohio is extremely difficult without major funding and professional infrastructures. But even if the amendment never reaches voters, the fact that this movement exists at all tells us something very important. People are no longer quietly accepting these projects without asking questions. And for many Ohio communities, especially smaller towns, suddenly facing $1 million AI infrastructure proposals, that may be the real story unfolding here. Today's sources come from Signal, Ohio. Long shot Ohio data center ban centers clears first hurdle, heads to Signature Drive. Signal Cleveland, long shot Ohio data center ban clears first hurdle, heads to Signature Drive. Ohio Society of CPAs, rural Ohioans seek a ban centers through constitutional amendment. Ballotpedia, Ohio Prohibition of Data Center Construction Amendment 2026. Thank you for listening. Until next time, bye-bye for now.